Alright guys, so first when you have an equation like this with parentheses, that tells you that you have to multiply this out before you can do anything else. And so I'm going to FOIL the first set. So we've got 3m squared, plus 10m plus 6m plus 20. On the right side, we're going to distribute the 3. We get 3m plus 15, and then the other plus 15 on there. The next thing you want to do is combine like terms. So we've still got the 3m squared, but I can combine 10m and 6m to get 16m. And on the right side, I can combine my 15s to get 30. Now, remember that when you have an equation that has a square or an exponent of 2, you need to get everything on one side to set it equal to 0. So I'm going to subtract 3m on both sides and subtract 30. So we have 3m squared plus 13m minus 10 equals 0. Okay. Now we're ready to solve this, and what we're going to do is use the quadratic formula. So we know that a is 3, b is 13, c is negative 10. Then we have our quadratic formula, x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So b is 13, so we have negative 13 plus or minus 13 squared minus 4 times a is 3, c is negative 10. All over 2 times a was 3. So we have negative 13 plus or minus, simplify what's under the square root, so we get 169. And then negative 4 times 3 is negative 12 times a negative 10 is a positive 120. Then we have that all over 6. Next thing we're going to do is add what's under the radical. So 169 and 120 gives me 289 over 6. And then we need to simplify the radical part. So what happens is it turns out that the square root of 289 is just 17. Okay. Now, first of all, if you end up without a square root or an I in a quadratic formula problem, that means that we could have factored. So you could have started all the way back up here at this equation, and you could have used bottoms up and factored that. But it's okay that you didn't. We'll get the same answer. Okay. So when you don't have a square root or radical, we can simplify this further because this plus or minus means two things. It means that x is negative 13 plus 17 over 6. And it also means that x is negative 13 minus 17 over 6. So we're just going to simplify those separate. So negative 13 plus 17 is 4 over 6, which reduces to 2/3. So that's one of our answers. The other one, negative 13 and negative 17, gives me negative 30 over 6, which is negative 5. So those are both your answers. You could have gotten the same thing by doing factoring. If you didn't notice that it factored, then of course the quadratic formula gives you the same answer.